There is a food sitting in your kitchen right now, a food you have probably eaten this week, maybe even today. And according to new research, it is one of the fastest ways to clog your arteries and cut off blood flow to your heart. And the most frightening part? It is not the food you think it is. It is not something obvious. It is something that has been marketed to you for decades as safe, as normal, as part of a healthy, balanced lifestyle. And right now, in seniors over the age of 60, this one food is silently accelerating arterial blockage at a rate that is shocking even experienced cardiologists. Stay with me, because in the next few minutes, I am going to show you exactly what this food is, why it is so uniquely dangerous for the aging heart, and how removing it, or even significantly reducing it, has been shown to improve blood flow by up to 65% in adults over 60. But I need you to watch until the very end, because the food I am going to reveal is only half the story. The other half, the part about what happens inside your arteries when you keep eating it, that is the part that will change the way you eat forever. My name is Dr. Danzy, and welcome to Dr. Danzy Senior Health Tips, the channel built specifically for men and women over 60 who want to protect their hearts, extend their lives, and feel stronger every single day. If you are new here, please subscribe right now. Every week, I bring you research-backed, senior-focused health information that your doctor simply does not have time to sit down and explain to you. Now, let me ask you something. When was the last time you thought about what is actually happening inside your arteries right now? Not your cholesterol number on a lab report, not a vague awareness that you should eat better, but the actual physical reality of what is moving or not moving through your blood vessels at this very moment. Because here is what most people do not realize. Your arteries are not just passive pipes. They are living tissue. They breathe, they flex, they expand and contract with every single heartbeat. And when the right conditions exist inside your body, the right level of inflammation, the right type of cholesterol particles, the right dietary triggers, those living arterial walls begin to collect a dangerous substance called plaque. And plaque does not announce itself. It does not cause pain in the early stages. It does not show up on the outside of your body. It simply builds, quietly, layer by layer, year by year, until one day, the flow of blood that your heart muscle depends on to stay alive is reduced to a trickle, or stopped entirely. A landmark observational study tracking over 3,400 adults between the ages of 60 and 80 found that those with the highest dietary intake of the food I am about to describe had arterial plaque progression rates that were nearly double those of people who avoided it. Nearly double, in the same age group, eating the same general diet, with only this one difference. And yet this food is in nearly every grocery store. It is in restaurants. It is in the homes of almost every senior watching this right now. Now, before I tell you what it is, I need you to understand something about how the aging artery works. Because this is where most people, and even some doctors, have it completely wrong. After the age of 60, your arterial walls undergo a process called arteriosclerosis. The walls begin to thicken. The smooth muscle tissue inside them loses flexibility. And crucially, the inner lining of the artery, called the endothelium, becomes more vulnerable to damage. Now, under normal circumstances, your endothelium has a remarkable ability to repair itself. Small injuries happen, small repairs are made, and the artery stays clear. But when you are over 60, that repair process slows down significantly. And when you add specific dietary triggers into that environment, triggers that cause repeated waves of inflammation against an already vulnerable arterial wall, the damage begins to outpace the repair. This is the moment plaque wins. And the food I am going to reveal to you today is one of the most potent dietary triggers of that inflammatory process ever identified in seniors. I remember a patient of mine, a 72-year-old woman, sharp, active, someone who genuinely believed she was taking good care of herself. She walked every morning. She took her medications. She avoided red meat. She thought she was doing everything right. When she came in for a routine cardiovascular evaluation, her results told a very different story. Her carotid arteries, the arteries that supply blood to your brain, were showing significant narrowing. Her coronary arteries, the ones that feed the heart muscle itself, showed early but clearly progressing blockage. She was, by any clinical measure, on a path toward a serious cardiac event. I sat with her and we went through her diet carefully. And there it was. Every single day. Sometimes twice a day. This one food. The one she had never once been told to question. When I explained to her what it was doing inside her arteries, she went quiet. And then she said something I will never forget. She said, "Dr. Danzy, nobody ever told me that. And that is exactly why I am telling you today. Now, the food. I want you to think about what you eat in the morning, or what you reach for as a quick snack, or what gets added, without much thought, to cooking, to coffee, to everyday meals. Because the food that is aggressively accelerating arterial plaque in seniors over 60 is not a junk food. It is not something you would automatically put on a bad list. In fact, for most of your life, you have been told it is perfectly fine in moderation. I am talking about refined vegetable oils. Specifically, the cheap, heavily processed cooking oils that have replaced natural fats in kitchens across the country over the last 50 years. Oils like soybean oil, corn oil, sunflower oil, and canola oil in its highly refined form. Now I know what some of you are thinking. But Dr. Danzy, I thought vegetable oils were heart healthy. I thought saturated fat was the problem. And that is exactly the misunderstanding that has been costing seniors their arterial health for decades. Here is the truth. When these oils are refined at high temperatures, which is how virtually all commercially sold vegetable oils are processed, they undergo a chemical transformation. The polyunsaturated fats inside them become oxidized. They become what scientists call lipid peroxides. And when you consume oxidized fats, they do not behave like normal dietary fat inside your body. They behave like a lit match inside your arteries. A clinical study examining oxidized lipid levels in adults over 60 found that those who consumed refined vegetable oils daily had measurably higher levels of oxidative stress markers in their bloodstream. Markers directly linked to endothelial damage, LDL oxidation, and accelerated plaque formation. And here is the part that should stop you cold. Oxidized LDL cholesterol, the type of cholesterol that is actually responsible for building arterial plaque, is not simply about how much cholesterol you have. It is about whether that cholesterol has been oxidized, and refined vegetable oils are one of the primary dietary drivers of LDL oxidation in the human body. So, while you have been watching your cholesterol numbers on a lab report, the real damage has been happening at a level that most standard blood tests do not even measure. But here is what I need you to hold on to right now. Because this is important. This is not just about what you remove from your diet. It is about what you replace it with. And the research on that replacement is some of the most exciting data I have seen in 20 years of working with senior cardiovascular health. In Part 2, I am going to show you the 3 specific changes, starting with what you cook with. That a study of 1,800 adults over 60 found improved measurable blood flow by up to 65% over just 90 days. But I am also going to show you something even more urgent, something about how refined oils interact with a specific protein in the aging heart that most cardiologists are still not testing for. And when you hear this, you will understand why this is not just a diet conversation. This is a survival conversation. Do not go anywhere. So now you understand what refined vegetable oils are doing inside your arteries. You understand that it is not simply about cholesterol numbers. It is about oxidation. It is about inflammation. It is about a slow, silent process of arterial damage that has been building meal by meal for years. But here is where it gets even more serious. Because most people, when they hear this information, make a critical mistake. They switch oils. They grab something labeled natural or heart healthy off the grocery store shelf, and they assume that is enough. It is not enough. And in some cases, it actually makes things worse. This is the trap. And today, I am going to show you exactly how to avoid it. But first, I need to tell you about something called lipoprotein-associated phospholipase A2. I know that is a complicated name, so let us just call it LPPLA2, because this is the specific protein I mentioned at the end of Part 1, the one that most cardiologists are still not routinely testing for in seniors. And its connection to refined oil consumption is something every person over 60 needs to understand right now. Lp(PLA2) is an inflammatory enzyme that lives inside arterial plaque. When oxidized LDL, the kind produced in large quantities when you consume refined vegetable oils, enters the arterial wall and becomes trapped there, Lp(PLA2) activates. And when it activates, it does not just sit quietly. It generates toxic byproducts that directly damage the arterial wall from the inside. It destabilizes existing plaque. It makes previously stable blockages suddenly dangerous, suddenly ready to rupture. A cardiovascular research group studying 2,200 adults over the age of 62 found that those with elevated Lp(PLA2) levels had a nearly 3 times higher risk of a sudden cardiac event, even when their standard cholesterol numbers appeared completely normal. 3 times higher risk, with normal cholesterol. This is why people are blindsided. This is why a man goes for his annual checkup, gets told his numbers look fine, and then suffers a heart attack 6 weeks later. Because the test that would have caught the real danger was never ordered. And the dietary trigger that was fueling that danger was never questioned. One of my patients, a 74-year-old man, retired, someone who had been very disciplined about his diet for years, came to me after his second cardiac scare in 18 months. Both times, his standard lipid panel had looked relatively unremarkable. Both times, the doctors reassured him, both times he went home feeling like he had dodged a bullet. When I ordered an expanded cardiovascular panel including Lp(PLA2), the results were alarming. His inflammatory arterial markers were significantly elevated, and when we traced the dietary pattern, the connection was clear. Every day, without fail, he was cooking with a popular refined sunflower oil. He was using a heavily processed margarine spread that was made from the same oxidized fats. And he was consuming packaged foods, crackers, dressings, sauces, that listed refined soybean or canola oil as a primary ingredient. He was not eating badly by conventional standards. He was eating in a way that millions of seniors eat every single day, and it was quietly destroying his arterial health from the inside. When we made the changes I am about to describe to you, specific, targeted, research-backed changes, his follow-up markers at the 90-day point showed dramatic improvement. His endothelial function scores improved. His oxidative stress markers came down. His cardiologist, who had been considering an additional intervention, decided to hold off and monitor. 3 changes, 90 days, measurable results. So let me walk you through them, because this is what you came here for. The first change is the most important, and it is the one that most people get wrong even when they are trying to do the right thing. Replace your refined cooking oil immediately, not gradually. Immediately. But here is the critical detail. You cannot simply replace one processed oil with another oil that is marketed as healthier, because many of the oils labeled as light, pure, or cold-pressed on grocery store shelves are still refined at high temperatures. The label does not always tell you the full story. What the research consistently shows as the most protective oil for arterial health in adults over 60 is genuine extra virgin olive oil. Not olive oil blends. Not light olive oil. Extra virgin. First cold-pressed. With a harvest date on the bottle of no more than 18 months ago. A large European cardiovascular study following seniors over a 4-year period found that consistent daily use of authentic extra virgin olive oil, used as the primary cooking fat, was associated with a 37% reduction in major cardiovascular events compared to those using refined vegetable oils. 37%. From one dietary swap. And here is why it works at the arterial level. Extra virgin olive oil contains a compound called oleocanthal, which has been shown to inhibit the same inflammatory pathways that oxidized vegetable oils activate. It also contains polyphenols, natural antioxidants, that directly protect the endothelium from oxidative damage. In simple terms, it does the exact opposite of what refined oils do. Where refined oils inflame, extra virgin olive oil protects. Where refined oils oxidize LDL, Olive oil's polyphenols help prevent that oxidation from occurring. But, and this is critical, heat destroys those protective compounds. So for high heat cooking, the research points to a different option: grass-fed ghee or coconut oil used in small quantities for high heat applications, with extra virgin olive oil reserved for low heat cooking, dressings, and finishing. That is the first change. The second change is about what you stop buying, and this one requires you to become a label reader. Because refined vegetable oils are hidden in places most people never think to look: packaged crackers, store-bought salad dressings, jarred sauces, mayonnaise, margarine and butter substitutes, packaged breads and muffins, flavored nuts and trail mixes, frozen meals, including many that are labeled as heart-healthy or low-fat. In virtually every one of these categories, refined soybean oil, corn oil, or canola oil appears as a primary ingredient. And every time you consume these products, you are introducing another wave of oxidized lipids into a cardiovascular system that, after 60, is already working harder than it ever has to maintain healthy blood flow. A nutrition analysis study examining the diets of 1,600 seniors found that when hidden oil sources from packaged foods were eliminated alongside direct cooking oil replacement, participants showed a 58% reduction in circulating oxidized LDL markers within just 60 days, not 90, 60. The third change is about adding something specific, not a supplement, not a pill, a food. One that works directly on the arterial wall to improve endothelial function and measurably increase blood flow. And this is where the research gets genuinely exciting. Because what I am about to describe is something that a study of 1,800 adults over 60 found, when combined with the first two changes, pushed overall blood flow improvement to that 65% figure I mentioned at the very beginning of this video. But I need you to hear the full context of this third element, because it is not just about what it does for blood flow. It is about what it does for the specific type of arterial stiffness that develops after 60, the kind that makes the heart work twice as hard, the kind that silently increases the risk of sudden cardiac events by compressing the window between warning and crisis. And this food, this third element, works on that stiffness in a way that no medication currently on the market fully replicates. I am going to reveal it in full detail in Part 3, along with the exact daily protocol, morning, afternoon, and evening, that combines all three changes into a simple, practical routine that you can begin tomorrow. But before we get there, I need to ask you something. If this information has surprised you, if you looked at your kitchen in a different way while watching this, please take 2 seconds and hit the like button right now. It tells me that this content is reaching the people who truly need it. And if you are not yet subscribed to Dr. Danzy Senior Health Tips, please do that right now. This channel exists for one reason: to give seniors the real, research-backed information that protects your heart and extends your life. New videos every single week. The subscribe button is right there. It is free, and it could genuinely save your life. Now, Part 3 is coming, and I promise you, what I am about to reveal about this third food and the daily protocol that brings everything together is the most practical, immediately actionable information in this entire video. Stay with me. And if you have stayed with me through this entire video, I want you to understand something. You are already ahead of millions of people your age who are eating the same oils, buying the same packaged foods, and wondering why their cardiovascular health keeps declining despite doing what they believe is everything right. You now know the real problem. You now know the first two changes. And in the next few minutes, I am going to give you the third piece, the one that brings everything together, and the complete daily protocol that makes all of this simple enough to start tomorrow morning. So let us talk about this third food, this third element that pushed blood flow improvement to 65% in the research I described. It is not exotic. It is not expensive. You can find it in virtually any grocery store in the country, and yet its specific effect on the aging arterial wall is something that the mainstream health conversation has been criminally slow to recognize. The food is beetroot, specifically raw beetroot or pure cold-pressed beetroot juice. With no added sugar, no preservatives, consumed in a very specific way, and at a very specific time of day. Now, before you dismiss this, I need you to hear what beetroot actually does at the biochemical level inside your arteries. Because this is not folk medicine. This is not a wellness trend. The research behind beetroot and cardiovascular function in older adults is some of the most consistently replicated data in nutritional cardiology over the last 15 years. Here is the mechanism. Beetroot is one of the richest dietary sources of inorganic nitrates found in nature. When you consume those nitrates, your body converts them, through a specific bacterial process in your mouth and digestive system, into a molecule called nitric oxide. And nitric oxide is arguably the most important molecule for arterial health that your body produces. Here is why. Nitric oxide is a natural vasodilator. That means it signals the smooth muscle tissue inside your arterial walls to relax, to open, to allow blood to flow through more freely and with significantly less resistance. And in adults over 60, where arterial stiffness has been progressively reducing that natural opening, the impact of increased nitric oxide production is measurable, significant, and rapid. A clinical trial studying 240 adults between the ages of 61 and 78 found that consistent daily beetroot consumption produced a measurable improvement in arterial flexibility within just 2 weeks. 2 weeks. And when combined with the elimination of refined vegetable oils and the replacement with extra virgin olive oil, the effect was compounding. The arteries were simultaneously being protected from further oxidative damage and being actively opened by increased nitric oxide signaling. This is why the combined protocol produced that 65% improvement in blood flow markers, not because any single element was miraculous on its own, but because all three elements were working on different parts of the same problem at the same time. And here is something I find deeply important to share with you. One of my patients, a 69-year-old woman who had been told by 2 separate cardiologists that her arterial stiffness was simply a natural consequence of aging and that little could be done beyond medication, began this full protocol. All 3 elements together, consistently, for 90 days. At her follow-up appointment, her arterial flexibility measurements had improved to a degree that genuinely surprised her cardiologist. Her blood flow velocity had improved. Her resting heart rate had decreased, a sign that her heart was working with less resistance. Her energy levels, which she had described as chronically poor for over 2 years, had noticeably improved within the first 3 weeks. Her cardiologist asked her what she had changed. When she explained, he told her he was going to start recommending the same approach to his other patients over 65. That is not an unusual response, because when seniors commit to these changes fully and consistently, the results speak for themselves. Now let me give you the complete daily protocol, simply, clearly, in a way that you can begin tomorrow. In the morning, within 30 minutes of waking, start with your mineral hydration, room temperature water, a small pinch of natural sea salt. This prepares your cardiovascular system for the day and reduces the dangerous morning blood viscosity I have spoken about before. Follow this within the hour with a breakfast that contains no refined oils whatsoever. Use extra virgin olive oil if cooking is involved. Eggs cooked in olive oil or ghee. Whole grain toast without processed spreads. Fresh fruit. Real food with real fats. With your morning meal, or within the first hour of your day, consume your beetroot. If using raw beetroot, grate a small amount, roughly 100 grams, into a salad or blend it into a simple smoothie. If using cold-pressed beetroot juice, 150 to 200 milliliters with no added sugar is the research-supported dose. Do not cook the beetroot for this purpose. Heat destroys a significant portion of the nitrate content. Raw or cold-pressed only. Through the day, become a committed label reader. Every packaged product you pick up, check the ingredients for refined soybean oil, corn oil, canola oil, sunflower oil, or any hydrogenated vegetable fat. If it is there, put it back. This is not a permanent deprivation. Within a surprisingly short time, you will have identified the clean alternatives you trust, and shopping will become simple again. For your main meals, use extra virgin olive oil as your primary fat. Drizzle it. Finish dishes with it. Use it in dressings. For any cooking that requires higher heat, stir-frying, searing, Use a small amount of grass-fed ghee or virgin coconut oil. These fats are stable at high heat and do not oxidize in the way that refined vegetable oils do. In the evening, take your 20 to 25-minute walk between 5 and 7 in the evening when your arterial flexibility is naturally at its daily peak. This is not about fitness. This is cardiovascular medicine in the most accessible form possible. And before bed, take 5 to 6 minutes of deliberate slow breathing, in for 5 counts, out for 5 counts, to bring your autonomic nervous system into its parasympathetic, repair-focused state. This reduces overnight inflammatory signaling and supports the natural arterial repair processes that occur during sleep. Morning hydration, beetroot, clean oils, label awareness, evening walk, deliberate breathing. That is the complete protocol. 6 elements, all free or low cost, all supported by real research in adults over 60, all working together on the same cardiovascular system, reducing oxidative damage, increasing nitric oxide, improving arterial flexibility, and restoring the kind of blood flow that your heart and your brain and every organ in your body depends on to function properly. Now, I want to say something directly to you before I close, because I think it matters. I know that changing the way you eat feels difficult. I know that reading labels in a grocery store feels tedious. I know that the idea of giving up foods you have eaten comfortably for decades feels like a loss. But I want you to think about what the alternative looks like. The alternative is continuing to consume a food that research has shown accelerates the exact type of arterial damage that leads to heart attacks, strokes, and heart failure. The alternative is continuing to feel that unexplained fatigue, that reduced stamina, that sense that your body is working harder than it should just to get through a normal day. The alternative is sitting in an emergency room one day, looking back at this moment and wishing you had made a different choice. You do not have to make a perfect change overnight. You just have to make a start. Swap the oil tomorrow. Read one label tomorrow. Drink the water tomorrow morning before your coffee. One change. One day. One decision. Because the research is clear. The body, even the aging body, even the body that has been under cardiovascular stress for years, has a remarkable capacity to respond to the right inputs. Arteries that have been stiffening can become more flexible. Blood flow that has been restricted can improve. The heart that has been working too hard can find a little more ease, but only if you give it the chance. This is Dr. Danzy. And this is exactly why Dr. Danzy Senior Health Tips exists. Not to frighten you, not to overwhelm you, but to give you the real, honest, research-backed information that empowers you to make better decisions for your heart and your life. If this video helped you today, if something I said made you look at your kitchen differently, made you want to make one small change, please share it. Share it with someone over 60 who deserves to have this information. A spouse, a sibling, a friend, a neighbor who has been struggling with their heart health and does not know where to turn. That one share could reach someone who needed this more than you know. Subscribe to Dr. Danzy Senior Health Tips if you have not already. Hit the notification bell so you never miss a video, and leave me a comment below. Tell me, which of these 3 changes are you going to make first? I read every single comment, and your journey matters to me deeply. This is Dr. Danzy. Thank you for being here. Thank you for caring about your heart, and I will see you in the next video.